Okay, so I was 25 years old, and I'd been dating a guy for 3 years. I was living in New York, and he was a great guy. He had a catchphrase. You gotta love a catchphrase, right? So his name was Ryan Bomba, and his catchphrase was, "You may be the bomb, but I am the Bomba." There's a lot of clever wordplay. And so one day, Ryan invites me to a rock in Central Park. And he sits me down and he's like, "Laura, sometimes I just feel like I need to be with someone who has a 401k. And then he dumped me. And I was like pissed. I was surprised, I was confused, I was sad, I was angry, and then I just worked my way back around at age 25 to be like, he's totally right. Like, I need to get a retirement plan. I need to get a job, and I need to fucking find a husband, and I need to get my shit in gear. And so I joined LinkedIn, and I joined Match.com, and I got really serious about becoming an adult. And I was failing horribly at both of those things. Like, couldn't find a job. By the way, just like side note, my temporary job, I worked sort of as a temp with no benefits at this place called Chadwick Communications, and it was owned by Chad Chadwick. So there was like a whole lot of shitty wordplay in my life. So the point is, this is all background. Okay, this has all just been background to let you know, to justify the fact that I started spending a lot of time on Craigslist casual encounters. And so for people who don't know Craigslist casual encounters, it is the bottom of the barrel. Like, this is pre-Tinder. Tinder didn't exist at the time. And for the gay men who might be here, this is not Grindr. This is like seriously the most perverted / potentially violent. And it's not that you shouldn't dabble. It sounds like a lot of people have dabbled, and dabbling's great. Like, a dabble will do you for the most part with Craigslist casual encounters. But I got into it. Like, I really spent a lot of time there because I was in such a low place, guys. I already explained. And I like had a separate email for exchanging pics, and I like would have fucking dirty conversations on my work line at work, and it was serving some sort of purpose for me during this phase of my life. But I toed the line. I didn't actually want to meet someone in person because I didn't want to get stab raped. Until one day, I read a post, and it said, "Would you be my date?" And so I clicked it, and I was like, okay, I'm sure this will say, like, "Will you be my date to lick my butthole while my wife sucks my dick?" Like normal casual encounter fare. It didn't say that. It said, "Will you be my date?" It was a legitimate request for a date to a wedding. And it was from a guy named Elliot, and he turned to casual encounters because his good friend was getting married in 3 days, and his date had backed out on him. And I kind of was like, I'm not doing anything on Saturday. Like, I'll totally go to this wedding with you. And so we started exchanging these emails back and forth, and he was great. He to me, wrote emails like he looked like Paul Rudd. I was certain that he looked like a slightly younger Paul Rudd. And I was like, he sounds just like me. He's gone through the same issues that I've gone through. He just went through a breakup, and all his friends are getting fucking married, and like, this could be, you know, the story that we might tell our grandchildren one day. And so cut to the day of the wedding. He comes to pick me up at my apartment in New York, and I'm like ready to meet my future husband. And so I open the door, and like Al Pacino maybe was standing there. I don't know. So Elliot was about 5'4". He was pushing 50 years old, and his hair was real greased back, and he rocked a lot of rings on his hand. He looked like Jersey Shore. Did anyone watch the Jersey Shore? Like one of the Jersey Shore guys, like sick dad. Like if Ronnie's dad had leukemia or something, that's like what he looked like. I know, that's so mean, because he actually right away, so I was obviously disappointed. This wasn't what I envisioned, but right away he sort of like compliments me and pulls out a chair, and he's just the sweetest man, very gentlemanly. And so I kind of think like, well, the gears are in motion for this. Like, let's just make the best of it. Let's go to a fucking wedding. Great. It may not be my husband, but I'm gonna have a great night. So we're making our way into New Jersey from Manhattan, and so we get into a rental car, and immediately Elliot pulls out a flask. Which I was like on board with at the time, but in hindsight it was a little bit of a red flag. And he's kind of like leans into me and whispers, and he's like, we should probably coordinate our lives. I was like, Elliot, settle down, easy. And then I realized that he actually said we should probably coordinate our lies. Meaning he didn't want to go to this wedding with all his buddies and tell them that we met on Craigslist Casual Encounters. It's like, smart. No, that's a good plan. Okay. So we decided that we met at work, and he owned a company, and I was one of his clients or something. We worked out this whole story. That really opened up a floodgate for me. It was like a snowball effect where I was like, oh shit, I can go to this wedding and just spew nonsense from my mouth. Like, I'll never see these people ever again. This is fantastic. Yeah. So right off the bat, I'm like, oh yeah, this arm, it's a prosthetic. Yeah, top of the line. My real arm was chewed off by a rare breed of shark in Phuket. But before that, I was an acrobat in a lesbian troupe. You had to be a lesbian. I mean, it was just like nonsense. But by the time we got to the reception, I am like hitting it out of the park with these people. Like, seriously, making rounds, heart to hearts, like dancing with the bride, fucking dancing on a table. There is a wedding video, I kid you not, in New Jersey, and I am all over that wedding video. Like, if there were a president of this wedding, I was lobbying hard for that position. And eventually you get to the part of the wedding night where everyone is wasted. It's like very, very late. And I kind of excused myself to go to the bathroom, and Danny popped up. And Danny is one of Elliot's younger friends. Really attractive guy. He looked like Mark Wahlberg with a shaved head. And he came over to me and he asked if I wanted to do some coke. And I'm a real nerd about drugs. Like, especially at this point in my life, like my knee-jerk reaction was to say, but weddings are for families. But because I'm in this state of like, oh, I'm living, this is my alter ego, like I was like, yes, I do want to do coke. Yes, thank you. And so he hands me this little bag, and I go into the ladies' room. And I come back out, and I am so fucking jazzed. I'm so pumped. Like, I nailed that. I figured out snorting something, and I feel great about it. And I'm so excited because Danny is standing there, and he's looking at me, and all of his friends are there, and they're looking right at me, and they want to hang out. And, they sort of say, like, did you do it? And I was like, yeah. They was like, do you feel good? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay, well, where's the rest of it? And I said, what do you mean I did it all? It never seriously for one moment occurred to me that little bag wasn't my portion. Like, I thought that was just for me, and that I was supposed to do all of that. And now it's like slowly my brain's processing that, oh no, that was enough coke for all 4 of these very large men to do for the rest of the night, and they're really mad at me. One of them like punched a wall, and so my heart starts racing, and I'm like, holy shit. And they're sort of turning into monsters in front of me. I'm like, I have to go find Elliot. This isn't cool. And instead, when I'm looking for Elliot, I find the bride, and she's also kind of transforming in front of my eyes. She like, her eyelash is on her cheek, and she's smoking a cigarette, and she's like, her eyes are closed, and she's like, bitch, thank you for coming. And then it's like in the coherent state of being coked out, it was like someone turned the lights on, It was like, this is sort of a dated reference, but Spring Breakers, it sort of felt like Spring Breakers, like, oh shit, now it's time to go home. Like, put me on the bus. This is the seediest wedding that I've ever been to. Like, these are all criminals. People are packing heat here. What have I been thinking? And the only thing that's preventing me from leaving this wedding is that I don't have any shoes on, because I took my heels off long ago. And my sneakers are in Elliot's hotel room. So I make my way back there, and I'm like, tell him what happened, and I say, Elliot, oh, Jesus, I did all this coke, and your friends hate me, and like, am I gonna die? Is this Pulp Fiction? And he comes right up to me, and like, his head went right here, and he held my face in his hands, like, really, really delicately, and he was like, baby, it's okay, we've got more coke. And then he sort of started rubbing my back, and I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. And then he sort of like started rubbing my ass, and I was like, that's not what I was going for. And then he tries to like, this is where it gets a little weird. He tries to like throw me on the bed, but I swear I have 20 pounds on him, so I don't budge, and he just falls on the bed and then falls on the floor. And now I'm like really looking for my shoes, and I'm trying, like, running around the room, and he's sort of chasing me, and at one point he kind of catches me and just licks my whole side of my face. And then I was like, I'm out, whatever, I don't need shoes, and I grab my bag and I run out the door, and I was like, thanks for everything, Elliot, this was a fantastic night. And I called a car from the lobby, and took a car home, and I threw up in my purse on the way home. Another side note, I have never been more proud in my life. I was like, not a drop on the purse. So for 6 months, I kid you not, Elliot kept getting in touch with me because he wanted to have a meetup to give me my shoes. He actually did have my sneakers. And at one point, his tactic changed so that he said, you know, I have a job for you. Like, are you still looking for work? Because he owned this company, and he was like, I have an opening, like full benefits, 401k included. But I turned him down because I didn't need a fucking 401k. Thank you.